They call them nerd necklaces, but it's ASCII code, and you can spell out words. So when you just glance at it, it looks like nothing, but anybody that's really into the whole ASCII code can decipher what it says. So it's pretty cool. They do people's names and, words, love and peace and so forth. It's pretty cool. So we have those 3 sponsors for this year. Always looking for more. We got room on the car. I am trying to get my butt to Funny Car Chaos in Denton, Texas in September. And it's looking like it's going to be a week off from work and about $2,000. So we are looking. And I would offer that I would not just run somebody's decals for one event and scrape them off. That if somebody sponsors us for that event, I would make sure that they got their money's worth and run the decals for 6 months or so, really at multiple events to really get their name out there and get some bang for their buck, So we're pretty low buck. I mean, I sleep in the trailer. I drive the truck. I mean, there's no motels. There's nothing like that. Just a working guy with a dream. My dream of making a rear-engine funny car work. So it started when I was about 9 years old. I always pictured that somewhere somebody would build a rear-engine funny car, and I would just move wherever they were and join the team, and that would be that. And that's how it was going to work. And time went by, and I drove a bunch of other cars and kept looking and waiting and hoping and reading National Dragster, and no rear-engine funny cars popped up. And, I got into my 30s and started thinking about it. And I was like, I can't just let this dream die. What do I do, All my friends are buying houses and getting married and having kids. And I sold everything I owned. I had a houseboat. I had a dirt bike. I sold the dresser out of my bedroom to raise $20,000 to get a chassis built. And I started my own team in 1998 when I was in my late 30s. Because nobody else did. I couldn't let go. I couldn't let the dream die, There had to be a rear-engine funny car out there racing, and it wasn't. And, the burden fell to me, basically. If I didn't do it, nobody else would, it seemed like. And, everybody always asks, how did you choose the rear-engine funny car? It's really hard to explain, but it feels like, in some ways, the rear-engine funny car chose me. And I'm the lucky guy that gets to point it down the track and go fast and sign autographs. And, it's been an amazing adventure. And the people that I met along the way, I can't even remember everybody, but I can give you a couple of examples. I showed up at Lakeland when we still had the clutch in the car. I went to do a burnout. I wound it up and let the clutch out. And I got tire shake so bad that at the end of the run, I was spitting out blood and my gums were bleeding. And I didn't know what to do about it. I mean, we just suddenly developed tire shake that wouldn't go away. And I called around, and my friend, B, who her real name is Annette, put me in touch with Tom Moultrie. And I called Tom Moultrie, and I told him that I'm getting this tire shake, and it's absolutely horrible, and what do I do about it, and blah, blah, blah. And he was so nice, listened to everything, and listened to our combination, and when it was doing it, and where it was doing it, and he told me to replace the rear tires and start balancing the tires. Up until that point, I never really balanced the rear tires because, you get down the track in 5 or 6 seconds and you're at top speed for such a short time that balance was almost like a trailer tire. Just, to me, it didn't really seem like it mattered, but he said that it did matter, and boy, was he right. I put a new set of M&H slicks on it and balanced them, and we've never had tire shake since, but at one point, it was pretty bad. I mean, in the top of first gear, it would shake so bad that my vision would get blurry and I could barely see the track. I had to shift to make it clear up, So.
Yeah, Tom Moultrie, the drastic plastic.
Tom Moultrie, the fuel altered guy, yes, sir.
Yeah, with the giant header flames.
What's that?
With the giant header flames coming out of that baby.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got the Moultrie tune-up in that thing. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So, our header flames aren't quite that big. He gets like 7-foot header flames. We get, 3-foot header flames. But for what we do and as much fun as we have, it's exactly what is right for us,
Yeah. So now, when you get ready to do a weekend of drag racing, what goes into preparation for you to get that car ready?
Oh, yeah. I am a stickler for details. First thing I do is make a list, usually a page long, of all the items that I want to do. And, fuel for the generator, and check everything over. We do a bolt check before every event, every critical bolt, steering and rear end mounting and engine mounts, and go all over it. I adjust my eating strategy and buy food that I can bring in the cooler with me, and gas up the truck and the generator, and hook up the truck the night before. I hate waiting until the last second for anything. I try to do as much in advance as possible and charge all the batteries in the generator and the race car and the camcorder, just everything. Gas up the truck and hook it up the night before and load the cooler. And in the morning, we usually just jump in the truck and go. I have it all set to go. But I make a big giant list, and it seems like the more I do, the more I add to the list. It seems like it'll never end, but I always manage to pull it off.
So do you prefer eighth mile or quarter mile?
Excuse me?
You prefer the eighth mile or quarter mile?
Well, at first, I was very opposed to the eighth mile until I actually tried it. I had only ever run quarter mile my whole life. And when I showed up with this car, the only track that would accept us with no license and no certification and let us make just a couple of laps with it was Lakeland Drag Strip. And it was eighth mile, and we had so much fun and went pretty fast and ultimately crashed there and everything that I never really, thought too much about going to the quarter mile because the eighth mile seemed to be so much of a challenge until I went to a quarter mile track where we were running eighth mile. But it was always available. There was so much more room to stop and everything that I got braver and braver and braver and started running it out the back door. And and now I actually like the quarter mile. I only have probably 10 runs down the quarter mile in this car, but it's been a lot of fun. And it would definitely get a lot more speed than we ever got before, and the parachute hits a lot harder, and it's really a lot of fun. So, like I said, I spent 15 years or so only running the eighth mile. So the quarter mile is a little bit new to me, but the few runs that I've had, I've really enjoyed it, and I really like the speed sensation and the wind roaring through the car and everything. It's pretty exciting. It definitely adds a whole new level to it. It changes the dynamics a bit. Makes me make sure the fuel's fully topped off because it takes a lot more fuel for that extra eighth of a mile.
Right. So now you ready for some fun questions for the last part of the interview?
Sure. Sure.
Do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
I didn't hear you. What was that?
Do you have any hobbies outside of drag racing?
Hobbies outside of drag racing? Well, I like to work in the yard and garden and collect plants and orchids and so forth. We live in Florida. It's extremely tropical. I actually, when I was younger, I owned a plant nursery. So there's a part of me that still enjoys the plants and the horticulture part of it. It's a good way to relax and unwind also after a stressful weekend of racing, after a week of work, and that's something nice to do and clear your mind. I have a pond with water lilies and so forth, so it's really enjoyable.
So no wife and kids?
No wife and kids. Yeah, a long time ago I had to choose between a wife and kids and a race car. And that race car never talks back.
So with this funny car, who's been your greatest competitor?
Greatest competitor? Oh, that's a good one. Let's see. Probably Ken Hamilton. Ken Hamilton lives up by Jacksonville, Florida, and he runs a bright yellow front-engine dragster with the Southern Slingshots, and I've run against him several times. And he is quite the character. He's a lot of fun. I don't know that it's so much a rivalry, but it's a really good time and a known commodity. I mean, he's a great driver and a good friend, and we pit together and we laugh and carry on, and I know his brother and his wife, and they're just great. So all the guys in the Southern Slingshot. Lately here, the past couple times I ran Wade Nunley. He has the bright green retro rocket altered, and he has beat me mercilessly. So he's just a little bit quicker than us. And let's see, he dialed in a 495, and I dialed in a 550. And I broke out against him and lost to him last time out. But he's a great guy. He's been a bit of a rival. I would like to. He's beat me like 3 times in a row, so I would really like to beat him.
Yeah, you can laugh with these guys in the pits and break bread with them all you want. Once you get to the starting line, though, that's a different story, man.
That's right. Once the helmet goes on, all bets are off. I wouldn't care if it was my mom in the other lane. I would try to beat her. So, yeah, that's the alter ego part. I get to turn loose when I put the helmet on. Yeah, I'm that person. I'm back motor Mike then.
So have you won any trophies throughout your career?
Yeah. I'm not real big on trophies. I do have a few. Unfortunately, most of our trophies are self-induced, wadded up connecting rods, pistons with the valve sticking out of the top. Those are engine trophies, and each one tells a sad story of poor choices or poor maintenance habits or something. But I try to learn from each and every one of them. But yeah, we do have some trophies. I got a little trophy case going in for my man cave when I finally get around to building one. But yeah, we mostly race for money. I mean, it takes money to make the car go, and yeah, if we can get a couple $100 a run or whatever, it helps pay for some maintenance and fuel and oil and gaskets and all the stuff it takes to keep it going. And during the week I work, I just started a new career as a service manager for a Firestone Auto Care Center here in Tampa. I've been there about 3 weeks now. It's a bit of a challenge. It's a high-paced, fast-paced shop. A lot of guys to keep track of and everything, but I seem to be pulling it off, at least so far. Of course, they may tell you a different story, but so far I've been enjoying it, and I've bitten in really good and haven't really pissed anybody off, so to say that it was a pretty good choice.
Okay. So now, Mike, what's your favorite food to eat?
Favorite food to eat? Probably pizza. I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but we got a place around the corner that has real, like, Chicago-style pizza, and I absolutely love that. I treat myself to it, once a week or so.
So what's Mike Racer's favorite beverage to drink?
Favorite beverage? I would say Arizona green tea. When I was younger, I was plagued with migraine headaches. I never had insurance. I went to the doctors. I spent thousands of dollars out of my own pocket. The doctors never cured or prevented a single headache. And I discovered Arizona green tea by accident. I was working at a little mom and pop shop, and they had a convenience store next door, and they had these big giant things of green tea for 99 cents. And that was like the only thing in the store that was a bargain that wasn't soda and a fountain drink, And I started buying the Arizona green tea and drinking like 3 of them a day, and the headaches that plagued me for 30 years went away. And I figured out, what's different? How come the headaches are gone? What's different? I said, I've been drinking that green tea. And so, yeah, now I buy it by the gallons and keep it in the refrigerator, and I put it in the cooler when I go racing. And it caused me to change the type of job that I went after. I always wanted to be, super reliable and Johnny on the spot and be able to handle anything. But the headaches really held me back, and I was missing days from work and got fired from jobs that I really, really liked that I wish I was still at sometimes. And so when I beat the headaches, I went to work for Chevrolet and, became a super tech at Chevrolet. And yeah, it allowed me to do a lot of other things. There's nothing worse than migraine headaches. I can't tell you how many race dates I missed and how many vacations I missed and how many people I pissed off over the years calling in sick and everything else. But it's been 10 years since I had a migraine headache, and I attribute it to Arizona green tea.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah, and it's a healthy thing. I mean, it's not a doctor-prescribed drug. It's not expensive. It tastes pretty good. Keeps you from drinking soda. So, yeah, it's been good to me. They make a great sponsor, by the way.
Yeah. So if people that are listening right now want to find your schedule, where you're going to be, what's the best way for them to look you up?
Well, let's see. Our next adventure is going to be next month, April 18th. I'm going to be at Clearwater, Showtime Drag Strip in Clearwater, Florida, on a Wednesday night. We're planning on making 3 runs, and if the first 2 go well, I'm going to pour the nitro in it for the 3rd run. And then we just have some regular bracket racing and tests and tunes until September. September is Funny Car Chaos in Denton, Texas. I am still trying to work out the logistics, but I really want to get there. That is a great event. Chris Graves puts it on. He personally invited me to come, said that there's a space for a lowly injected car in their field, and I really want to get there. So that's in September. And then in October, we have 2 events at Orlando Speed World. That's a NHRA quarter mile. We're doing Drag Race for a Cure for people suffering from cystic fibrosis.